promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and Accra, 1 p.m. in Porto Novo. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. 12 ECOWAS member states signed a symbolic card in Lagos to uphold the founding values of peace, regional and economic cooperation.
Our shared vision was simple but profound: to foster economic integration, strengthen political and diplomatic cooperation, and promote peace and security amongst the people of West Africa.
The Conakry Court of Appeal upholds a 2-year prison sentence for opposition leader Ali Oba, and Liberia's Immigration Service begins a data capturing exercise for Burkina in the country over rising tension with locals.
These illegal occupants are reportedly armed and well organized. And so we have engaged with the Minister of Justice to investigate this matter through the police and the joint security.
An African Development Bank elects a new president in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire this afternoon. Stay with us for details of these stories and more.
Christopher Aticho with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners in the sub-region and beyond. Newslink begins in Nigeria, where ECOWAS member countries on Wednesday reaffirmed their commitment to the aspirations of the founding fathers of the regional bloc. They made the pledge during a symbolic signing ceremony at the 50th anniversary celebration held in Lagos, Nigeria's economic hub. The signing of a commemorative 50th anniversary card by all member states signified a united pledge to uphold the core values of peace, regional integration and economic cooperation that inspired the formation of ECOWAS in 1975. From Lagos, WADR's Sankole Janko reports.
Leaders of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, renewed their commitment to the community's ideals. The current 12-member countries signed the symbolic 50th anniversary card, a collective gesture reaffirming their dedication to the vision and values laid down by the founding fathers of ECOWAS in 1975. The only surviving founding father of the bloc, General Yakubu Gowon, says they established the community with the sole intention to improve the lives of citizens of the member countries.
Our shared vision was simple but profound: to foster economic integration, strengthen political and diplomatic cooperation, and promote peace and security amongst the people of West Africa.
In his keynote address, Nigeria's president and current ECOWAS chairperson, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, praised the resilience of the region and called for deeper collaboration to address contemporary challenges, including insecurity and economic instability.
In our unity lies our power, in our solidarity, our success. On behalf of the government and the people of Nigeria, I reaffirm our enduring commitment to ECOWAS. The ideal it represents is great for us. It's very inspiring. It's part of a renewed hope agenda.
Dignitaries from West Africa, including heads of state of Guinea-Bissau and Togo, ministers, key stakeholders, diplomats and representatives of global organizations including the UN and AU, graced the occasion as a symbol of support to ECOWAS. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankule Janko reporting from Lagos, Nigeria.
In Senegal, discussions on the overhaul of the political system continue this Thursday. This dialogue, initiated by Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, aims to rethink political actors. This forum for discussion also includes the participation of civil society actors. Abdullah Hassan reports.
The dialogue on the overhaul of the Senegalese political system was attended by more than just political actors. Members of civil society, human rights defenders and others also participated. Seydi Gassama, Executive Director of Amnesty International Senegal, called for better protection of civil and political rights.
This dialogue will only have meaning, will only have an impact on the lives of Senegalese citizens if it allows for better protection. will it not of civil and political rights in this country if it also allows for better enjoyment of civil and political rights in this country? I am talking about all the people deprived of their liberty, who are in detention, who are in preventive detention, provisional detention, as we now say, and those who obviously have been tried and who have not been definitely sentenced by the court are still being ignored by the authorities in charge of the ALEX.
Religious figures are also taking part in these meetings. The Catholic Church hopes that this dialogue will help reconcile the various stakeholders. Philip Abraham Tin heads the National Secular Council.
Our nation is going through a period of deepening fractures, of eroding trust between citizens, of dialogue between rulers and governed, of sometimes turning into a power monologue. This dialogue, we hope, will be a form of therapy. Therefore, the Catholic Church expresses its full readiness to continue working alongside the state and all partners to promote freedom, justice, equity, and ethics.
These meetings will be held until June 4th and are expected to lead to consensus for an overhaul of the Senegalese political system.
Abdullah Hassan filed the report. In Guinea, the Conakry Court of Appeal has upheld the decision of the Kaloum Court of First Instance sentencing opposition leader Ali Oba to 2 years in prison. The president of the Model Party was found guilty in January this year of insulting the head of state. His lawyers on Wednesday denounced the decision and announced a consultation with their clients to determine the next step in the case. Let's join Imo Edit for the rest of the details.
Despite the prosecutor's request for a 5-year prison sentence for opposition leader Ali Oba, the presiding judge of the Court of Appeal upheld the first instance decision. The opposition leader's lawyer, Galissa Hadi Jallo, criticized the Court of Appeal's approach, arguing that it should have re-examined the case both in substance and in form.
Everything that happened in these proceedings, from the first instance to the Court of Appeal, the way the proceedings were conducted, and the whole process surrounding the trial, frankly, I am not surprised by this decision. It is the worst that would have surprised me, or the least that would have surprised me. But the confirmation of this decision does not surprise me at all.
Faced with this decision, Ali Oba's defense team, Halumatu Oba, does not intend to give up.
What would reconfirming such a decision mean? It confirms that fact that the trial judge said what Ali Oba said, which is a foreshadowing. That is, we are still speculating. Now, we are not going to decide on the strategy right away. We will consult with our colleagues and our client, Ali Oba, to see what action to take following such a decision. For us, which seems too easy, we still have an appeal at the Supreme Court. We also have ongoing proceedings before the ECOWAS Court of Justice.
Several diplomats accredited to Guinean human rights organizations were present at the Court of Appeal on Wednesday to witness a verdict. Some of them denounced procedural flaws in this case.
Imo Edit with a report filed by WADR's Conakry correspondent Chiano Alpha Ibrahim Baude.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Niger, several educational institutions grouped within the dynamic movement held a press briefing on Wednesday. The aim was to demand that the military authorities respect their platforms of demand, which is becoming increasingly pronounced regarding the recruitment of contract teachers in the civil service, the payment of incident benefit for tenured teachers, and the payment of contract workers' allowances. Augustine Colley tells us more.
Nigerian teachers united within the education and vocational training movement continue to put pressure on the military authorities. They demand that their grievances be respected. Isufu Lawali is at the head of this movement.
On December 4, 2024, we signed the joint communique in which the government committed to recruiting contract teachers into the civil service and to paying the financial benefits in 2025. During one of our negotiating sessions, the Prime Minister himself came out to tell us that any issue that has a financial impact must be put aside. And that is why we left the negotiating table and began the fight to bring the government to its senses.
After the execution of 272-hour strike notices, which failed to resolve the crisis, the movement maintained its position. Isufu Lawali speaks.
We are not issuing the strike notice because we want to rest. It's not because we don't want to work, but because we have been forced to. It's the government that forced us to strike, and we'll continue to strike as long as our concerns are not addressed.
It should be noted that since the military came to power, this is the first time that teachers have broken their silence to call for respect for their demands.
A report by our Niamey correspondent Mutala Zuberu and voice by Augustine Colley. Elections by the governors of the African financial institution, the African Development Bank, is currently ongoing in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, to elect the future president of the bank. After 2 terms of Nigerian Akinwumi Adesina, this election comes at a crucial time for the continent's economic future. 5 candidates are in the running, including former Minister of Economy and former Vice President of the African Development Bank, Amadou Holt of Senegal, and former World Bank Executive Samuel Muzeli Nyambo of Zambia. Let's cross over to Ghana, where the suspended Chief Justice's quest to halt impeachment proceedings against her has been dealt a major blow after the Supreme Court dismissed her application for an interlocutory injunction against the 5-member committee sitting on the case. In a writ filed by the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, she alleges, among others, biases and an abuse of her fundamental human rights. The Apex Court Justice who sat on the case found the application without merit and subsequently dismissed it. From Accra, WAD Ausnadi Data reports.
The Supreme Court ruling on Wednesday, May 28, 2025, followed the submission of a strongly worded supplementary affidavit by the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu. In her filing, she described the ongoing impeachment proceedings against her as a mockery of justice, an assault on judicial independence, and worse than the treatment meted out to persons accused of treason. However, the court dismissed both the supplementary affidavit and the supplementary application for an interlocutory injunction. The suspended Chief Justice had sought to halt all proceedings of the 5-member committee investigating her conduct pending the final determination of her legal challenge. But in a unanimous decision, the 5-member panel of the Supreme Court, presided over by Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni, ruled that the application lacked merit. Reacting to the decision, lead counsel for the suspended Chief Justice and former Attorney General Godfrey Wadami said the outcome was not surprising.
It really follows in the theme of what we've been witnessing, but we move on. There are a lot of battles that we can fight. We think that the process is flawed, no doubt, heavily flawed, laden with all kinds of constitutional violations.
He also pushed back against growing calls from some quarters for the suspended Chief Justice to resign in order to protect her dignity.
Due process, rule of law, constitutionalism must prevail in Ghana. That is what we seek. It is not on account of people putting pressure on the CJ to resign or do whatever that will take a decision. The most important thing is that there must be an upholding of the rule of law in Ghana. And we will continue to assert our rights. And as far as I'm concerned, the proper thing must be done.
The ruling allows the impeachment process to continue, dealing a major blow to the suspended Chief Justice's efforts to stop it. For WADR, Nadedi Tete, Accra.
Still in Ghana, the country's embassy in Washington, D.C. has officially been reopened today, Thursday, May 29, after a temporary closure prompted by a significant IT breach and allegations of internal corruption. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration announced that the mission is now resuming full consular services, with enhanced integrity measures and a newly deployed team of diplomats. The closure follows revelations that a locally recruited IT staff member had created an unauthorized link on the embassy's website redirecting visa and passport applicants to a private company where they were charged unapproved fees. This fraudulent scheme reportedly operated undetected for several years. In response, all home-based staff were recalled and local staff were suspended pending further investigations. To address the breach, and information technology team had reconfigured the embassy's website and payment platform, eliminating all unofficial authorized links. You're still listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. We are also live on Facebook at WADR English Service, as well as YouTube at WADR News. Here's a reminder of our top stories. 12 ECOWAS member states signed a symbolic card in Lagos to uphold the founding values of peace, regional and economic cooperation. The Conakry Court of Appeal upholds a 2-year prison sentence for opposition leader Aliou Ba. An African Development Bank set to elect a new president in Abidjan this afternoon. And still ahead in the news, Liberian Immigration Services begin a data capturing exercise for Burkina Faso in the country over rising tension with locals. We do have the press review, guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
The Liberian government has launched an initiative to register migrants, particularly from Burkina Faso. Many of them are believed to have entered Liberia illegally. While their entry data remain unclear, local officials allege that the Burkina Faso migrants engage in illegal mining operations, causing significant environmental degradation in the southeastern and central regions. These allegations have sparked widespread concern among citizens, which warrant the establishment of a comprehensive database for migrants by the Immigration Service. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The registration exercise has begun for migrants from Burkina Faso linking from Cote d'Ivoire in Rivergy, Grand Jida and Maryland counties. Deputy Information Minister for Public Affairs Daniel Saino stated that the effort seeks to bring order and accountability to immigration processes while promoting peaceful coexistence among African nations.
Liberia is signatory to various ECOWAS protocols that require you to protect the rights of all Africans in your country when appropriate.
Local officials, however, remain concerned about the involvement of the Burkina Faso migrants in illegal mining activities, particularly in Bon County. Here is Superintendent Howard Norris.
They ban it in Burkina Faso, they bring it here. It's dangerous for human health, and that's what they're doing here. We don't know what type of mining they're doing here, but they're using chemicals.
As the situation develops, the Senate Committee Chair on National Security, Defense, Intelligence and Veteran Affairs has expressed the concern over the potential security risks posed by organized activities by foreign nationals. Momo Cyrus warns that these activities threaten Liberia's stability.
These illegal occupants are reportedly armed and well organized. And so we have engaged with the Minister of Justice to investigate this matter through the police and the joint security.
The initiative has prompted concern from international and local stakeholders. According to the UNHCR estimates, nearly 40,000 Burkina Faso nationals currently reside in Liberia, but questions remain about their status, whether they are refugees, migrant workers, or undocumented migrants, and the conditions surrounding their entry. The government's response in the coming weeks will be crucial in addressing these complicated concerns and ensuring national stability.
Our Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker with our reports.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Let's join Nadi Detective from Accra for the press review.
Let's start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page, tax exemption irregularities hold public officials accountable, PwC senior partner advocates. Also on the front page, Supreme Court dismisses Chief Justice's injunction application, and borrow only for revenue generating projects, Seth Tekwe says, and Professor Ikuabri Chum chairs 18-member National Media Commission. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, wailing and teeth gnashing at Ramsar site as more than 100 houses bulldozed. President Mahama receives 24-hour economy policy draft. The Daily Guide newspaper, Supreme Court dismisses Tokonu's injunction, and 10 arrested in cybercrime crackdown, and complaint cloud Hajj 2025. Other stories here. Iyoko grants Wontumi bail, and finally Brian Echampong exploratory committee set up. The Chronicle newspaper front page, NPP presidential primary, Brian Echampong testing the waters, sets up exploratory committee to engage stakeholders. Other stories here. Baumia to Iyoko, Wontumi's rights must be respected. The Daily Democrat front page, health ministry urges nurses to halt strike over conditions of service, and minerals must fuel Africa's development. Finally, the National Enquirer, government to scrap weekend demurrage charges at the port. That's according to the Trades Minister. Syndicated loan delays cost Ghana $840 million. That's according to the Cocoa CEO. And Parliament to probe into COVID-19 funds, Ijapa, as well as the PDS scandals. Other stories here, free SHS for private schools also next academic year, and NYA warns against sale of free apprenticeship forms. And finally, 24-hour economy is both a destination and a program. That's according to President Mahama. That's it for the newspaper review segment. Is back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Nadi Data, for the press review.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest interview this afternoon is about ECOWAS member countries who have reaffirmed their commitments to the aspirations of the founding fathers of the regional bloc. They made the pledge during the symbolic signing ceremony of ECOWAS at 50 celebration held in Lagos, Nigeria. Our guest is Wadimos Advocacy Officer Austin Aegbe, who commended the regional bloc's renewed commitment to uphold the core values of peace, regional integration, and economic cooperation.
Let me congratulate all of us as citizens of ECOWAS on a 50th anniversary. It's a remarkable feat that we do not want to take for granted. And second of all, to congratulate the only surviving founding father, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon. And it is true that ECOWAS has met its objective of the past. The objective of ECOWAS was economic community of West African states. It was basically for economic purposes. But as time goes on, other protocols have emerged, new treaties have been signed. So beyond the foundation of ECOWAS. So today, there is really no way we can have economic stability without political stability. There is no way you can have economic stability without security. So it is key that there is an ECOWAS of the now and an ECOWAS of the future. So for it's the reenactment of the 1975 deal is fantastic. But ECOWAS of the future is still need to be pursued. For instance, ECOWAS came out with a protocol on good governance and democracy that required that certain threshold be made by member states. I think it is time to pursue that there cannot be good economic integration when there is no political stability and when there is no security. So it is important that as we move 50 years plus one, we work towards political stability. And that is why the call by General Gowon is very clear. Part of the challenge that is leading back to military rule in West Africa has to do with political stability, failure of democracy. And that is what you hear, like in Burkina Faso, the argument about democracy not meeting needs and all that democracy is backsliding.
Again, the surviving father, General Gowon, made a passionate call to ECOWAS to rope in or have conversations with the AES members who have exited the bloc to come back. Do you see light at the end of the tunnel with this particular call?
I have always said that General Gowon should lead that conversation, because you cannot lead a conversation from the standpoint of the problem. As of this moment, the Sahelian state sees ECOWAS as an enemy, particularly when ECOWAS tried to invade Niger, which of course led to what they call the Sahelian state today. So it may be very difficult for the same individuals or ECOWAS as an entity to try to break our peace. So ECOWAS will need an external factor, and I see General Gowon in a strategic position to do that. However, I have also said time and again that the president of Ghana, John D. Mahama, His Excellency, who has also played a unique role since coming to office, in fact, before assuming office, also have a strategic role to play. And I think the call is very important and should be pursued very vigorously. It's coming a challenge because we still have a few months to go, July 29th, and I think that it will be in the best interest, and I'll say that again, and I'll repeat, it will be in the best interest of the landlocked countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, to return back to the fold. Morocco will not do them any better, even if you open up the waterways for them. The current trouble with Mali and Algeria, which has now extended to the Sahelian state, will not be in the best interest of the Sahelian state. ECOWAS will still continue to be in the best interest of the Sahelian state. And nobody told Sahelian state they can maintain their status as Sahel states.
You ascribe the problem of ECOWAS leading this particular mediation at the doorsteps of ECOWAS itself as the body that has caused the trouble and so cannot really resolve it. What is the problem? Is it the leadership or it is the protocols of ECOWAS? So the problem is the personality. So if I know that you are after me and you are coming back to me to come back to join your fold, in the first instance, I ran away from ECOWAS because you made an attempt to invade me. You are not asking me again to come and join your fold, the same personality? Who are these personalities? The only people that are different in this personality is the president of Senegal and of course the president of Ghana. The other personalities still remain constant. So they need to be an alternate dispute resolution that need to bring the Sahel state to the table. I know and understand very well that ECOWAS protocol of military invasion is no. Once the military take over, they don't attend heads of state meeting and all that. But the sanctions were not really called for. So I think that it's time for ECOWAS to actually purge itself and then do the right thing and use General Gowon to lead the conversation. Wadr's Advocacy Officer, Austin Aigbe. And in sports this afternoon, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated the Black Stars of Ghana 2-1 on Wednesday night to advance to the finals of the Unity Cup in London. Goals from Cyril Desse and an own goal from a Ghanaian defender was enough to do the job for the Nigerians to win on that bragging right. Nigeria's advance was extended just 5 minutes later when Ghana's Razak Simpson accidentally turned the ball into the net, giving the Super Eagles an important second goal. Now, following the win against Ghana, Nigeria will now face Jamaica in the Unity Cup on Saturday. The Reggae Boys defeated Trinidad and Tobago 3-2 on Tuesday. Ending sports. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Sheikh Jai for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook at WADR English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our environment program, Enviroscope with Abdullah Hassan. I am Christopher Aticho. Good afternoon and enjoy the rest of our broadcasts.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.